What we'll do now is I'm going to film a few different shots using the various lenses on this camera as opposed to the iPhone, and just give you an idea. I'll insert those clips, just giving details in terms of which lens it is, what focal range it is, and what sort of aperture it's working at as well. Hey everyone, so this is back on the Panasonic Lumix GH5. This is using the kit lens, and this is on its widest focal range. So this is supposedly 20mm. It's probably a lot more than that realistically because of it being micro four thirds, but as you can see, this is quite zoomed in. This is me sat in the same position as the previous iPhone footage, so that sort of gives you an idea in terms of how much more zoomed in this particular shot is. I'm just using my iPhone to actually keep track of it. In fact, that might actually be a good way of actually seeing what the autofocus is actually like. Obviously I'm not going to know this until after reviewing this video, but yeah, this is the built-in lens. What I'll do now is I'll just adjust it to a midpoint and then zoomed in all the way. Maybe not zoomed in all the way, but I'll make a few adjustments and I'll insert those clips as well. Hey everyone, so this is back on the Lumix GH5. This is with the kit lens, and this is with the focal range set to 12. So initially I was actually wrong. I was thinking of it being a 20-60. This is actually a 12-60 lens. This is with it set on 12. The previous clip was actually set to the range where the lens is all the way in. So I believe it's roughly around 25. So this is how much basically real estate you're getting by having it set to 12. So this is actually a pretty decent lens in terms of how wide it is. At the moment, obviously this is the same distance from the iPhone, and the iPhone's sort of problem was the fact that it was showing everything, or I couldn't have it showing enough if I used one of the zoom lenses. So with this, I've got loads of room to actually come in further, and if I just try and get it to focus, let's see. That's actually not too bad. So that's focused in quite well. If I move that away again, let's see how that focuses, and let me try and find something a bit bigger for it to latch onto. Now obviously lighting in this particular scenario, because I've had the lights set on me, might not be the best. I'm just trying to orient that in such a way. Yeah, I mean that looks pretty good. That looks like it's focused on the phone screen anyway. And then as soon as I move it away, let's see how quickly it actually latches back on. And also if I just move forwards and backwards, that to me, just looking on the phone screen, doesn't look like it's in focus. Once again, if I zoom forward again, or move forward, it's not too bad, but it's not perfect either. Hey everyone, so here we are back with the Lumix GH5. This is with the kit lens, 12-60mm kit lens that was included with the pack, and this is with it set roughly to around halfway. So this is roughly around 30, maybe 35mm, and as you can see, this is in exactly the same position that the iPhone was. As you can see, it's zoomed in considerably more. Now what I'll do is I'll do a similar thing. So let's try a zoom test and just get some writing. So that's actually not too bad. So in terms of focused time and how it latches on, now there might be a little bit of hunting. This is one of the problems with the GH5. So if I move that away, how quickly does it latch back on? Not bad, not bad. So I am using my phone screen, hence why I'm looking down. That's one good thing about the app, if you like, or the camera, if you like. So I can actually monitor this without having to be right next to the camera. Once again, we'll just try another focus test. That's actually pretty good in terms of how quickly that's actually latched on, and I think this might be a case of it having better lighting. So in all my initial tests, what I was doing was I didn't have the additional sort of lighting that I've got now, so this is actually lighting me up a lot better than just having the ceiling light, which is what I had it set to previously. I did also try it with just a sort of a mini light just on the or hot shoe or cold shoe mount on top of the camera, but yeah, this seems to be a lot better. So that is roughly around 30 to 35mm. Hey everyone, so here we are back with the Lumix GH5, and this is now set to 50mm on the actual lens itself. Now looking at the phone screen, this seems a lot more than 50mm. This seems very zoomed in, almost uncomfortably so. But yeah, let's do the same thing. So let's do a focus test. That was very good in terms of how quickly it actually focused. Return focus, a little bit of hunting, so it does hunt a little bit, and that's a general theme. You can fix that by, in this scenario, by simply just switching to manual focus, and then when you actually show a product, I could actually just click on the screen now and have it actually focus in. But even from basically these shots, it does seem like the kit lens is pretty good in terms of how well it's actually focusing in. Just do one last test on, yeah, I mean this is pretty challenging as well, because this is basically just a black subject. The lighting isn't actually angled in on the product itself. It's literally just getting the overspill of the light. That's all it's actually getting. So I'm actually quite impressed by how well that's focused. That's probably better than any of the sort of real world tests I've actually done in the time when I was actually assessing whether I was going to keep this camera or give it back. So yeah, that's actually pretty impressive. But obviously this sort of focal range you're not going to be using very often, because this is so zoomed in that, like I say, you're not really getting enough in the picture to make this a usable sort of focal range. Maybe for zoomed in, if you're outdoors, this would be a lot better, but indoors in this sort of scenario, obviously it's not really any good. This is purely just for the test that I'm actually showing you what this kit lens can essentially do. So now what I'll do is I'll switch it out to 60mm the max, and let's see what that's like. Hey everyone, so here we are back with the Lumix GH5 and the kit lens set to 60mm, and as you can see from this is now incredibly zoomed in. So what I did do was I've left the tripod and the angle exactly the same. From the iPhone footage through to the GH5, obviously I did have to adjust it slightly because the iPhone was actually held in a cage, whereas the camera literally just goes straight onto the tripod with a mount. But in terms of all the focal ranges on this particular lens, I've left those all exactly as they were. Now the one thing that I want to do is just do the focus test again. So this time around, obviously it's struggled a bit more. Let's just have it zoom back out again and zoom back in again. That's actually pretty good. I'm quite impressed by that. And I don't know why I haven't actually had the flip out screen flipped out, so I don't actually have to look at the phone as much. But realistically, from this sort of distance, I'm probably sat about 1.5 to 2 meters away from the actual camera at the moment, so that tells you how zoomed in this actually is. But to be perfectly honest, I'm actually pretty impressed by how well that's focusing. Now if I just bring it out of frame, and that's roughly around halfway into frame in the focus area, that's now fully in, and as you can see, as soon as it goes fully in, it'll latch on, and as soon as it goes out, then it'll return back to me. So pretty good. I'm actually pretty impressed by that. It's nowhere near the realm of smartphone autofocus, or even maybe some of the Sony cameras, the A7C, obviously the other one that I was actually looking at. But in terms of what this has been described as being absolutely terrible autofocus, and to be fair, in certain scenarios it can be, this isn't too bad. So now what I'll do is I'll switch out to the Sigma lenses and we'll take a look at those. Hey everyone, so here we are back with the Lumix GH5. This is with the Sigma 30mm lens, I believe it is, and the aperture is set to 1.4. so as you can see, loads of lovely bokeh in the background. And what we'll do is same thing again, we'll do a focus test. And as you can see, this is where it starts to struggle a little. Eventually gets there, but obviously you're talking a much faster lens, much shallower depth of field. So it's understandable if it's going to struggle a little bit more. What I have also done is I've got a very small focus area as well. So just as that returns back to focus on me now, sort of the curious thing would be whether it's actually hunting, whether you're getting any flickering or anything in the background. Now what I might do is I might just turn the light that's well, in fact it's this one that's actually in view, so I might just turn that on because that'll actually be a better indication in terms of if it is flickering or hunting in the background. Okay, so here we are back, we have that turned on now, and what I want to see is when I bring something into focus, obviously it's blurring everything else out beautifully, and will it hold onto that object? It does seem to be, even though this is obviously these aren't the best sort of objects to be testing this out with. And then if I take that away, how quickly does it return to me? And there was a little bit of a hunt there, but I don't think it's bounced too much since then. Looking on screen, it seems to be perfectly fine. If I just get it to focus in again, that looks pretty good to me. And now bring it back to me again, and yeah, once again a little bit of a hunt when it initially locks onto me, but since then it doesn't seem to be hunting around too much. Maybe a little bit there, but obviously this is something that I'll be able to see in post, where these sort of lights here, any sort of small lights that are getting blown out by the bokeh, that's basically what's going to show up essentially. So as I say, this is with the 30mm, which as I say, it's not bad for this sort of talking head scenario, but it doesn't give me a lot of room in frame in terms of actually showing other products. So obviously with the iPhone shot at the start of this video, what I did was I wanted both the iPhone as well as me, the camera as well as me in shot at the same time. That's why I had it so far out, so wide essentially. With this, obviously, it means that any product that I want to show off, you do have to pick it up and show it in this sort of way, as opposed to having it in shot all the time, without having like an extra table or something, a shelf set up next to you. So this is obviously a much tighter field of view. This being a 30, which realistically is probably towards a 60mm, but yeah, what I'll do now is I'll switch it out and we'll take a look at the f1.4 Sigma 16mm. Hey everyone, so here we are back with the Lumix GH5, the Sigma 16 f1.4 lens, and as you can see, I now have so much more room in frame. If I wanted to, obviously this headroom that I have, I could bring this down and possibly show you more in terms of what's actually on the table in front of me. But yeah, what we'll do first is we'll do the same test again. So the focus test, and I think with this, because it is such a wide angle, I might need to actually just reduce the focal area. So I'm just adjusting that now, and that should now be in focus, well, in the focus area anyway. As you can see, this lens is possibly struggling a little bit more. That's really struggling. Yeah, so if I touch the focus, it'll lock on. So that should now be locked on. But as you can see, this one seems to be struggling a bit more in terms of just general focusing. So I've moved that away, that seemed fine. So that seemed to come back to me quite quickly. We'll just bring that on again. Doesn't seem to want to latch on. If I just touch the focus, then it will. So let me just do that test. So I'll take it away. Now I'll bring it back and I'll just touch the focus again, and as you can see, that's instant. So yeah, if you really needed to, what you could do is literally just touch the focus on that area just as you bring the product into shot. Obviously this, you do have to be quite accurate in terms of getting it inside that square, but as soon as you take it away, should come back to me, and if need be, you can just touch the focus again. So this is probably the lens that I'm going to be using for most of my talking head videos going forward. The idea behind this whole setup is just to be able to give me more flexibility in terms of different shots. So when I'm doing product unboxings, I'll normally like to do a sort of top down, just focus on the product, and then when I'm doing reviews and things, that's where basically the talking head videos come in. And ideally what I'd want is to be able to have me and the product, so basically this table in view at the same time. So what I'll do is I'll just adjust the camera now and we'll see whether that's possible. Okay, so here we are back with the Lumix GH5 adjusted, so then I can get a bit more of the actual table in view, if you like. Still a little bit too much wasted space here, so I still need to play about with those settings. But what I want to do is just test out how well this actually reacts to a sort of product environment now. So because we're getting a bit more spill in terms of the lighting, I would have thought that this would have actually reacted faster. It's still requiring me to actually do a touch to focus on the product in order to get it to focus in. So yeah, let me shrink that area down a little. Is that any better? Still doesn't want to actually latch on, and this is the sort of issue with the GH5, if you like. Right, that is one thing that I have noticed, where at the moment the square, let me just see if I can draw it on, so it's from there to there, and what I find is I need to actually go across the square, the sort of area of focus, in order for it to actually get latched on. So there it will actually latch on straight away, because my hand essentially has covered most of the area. And it can lock onto my hand initially, and then obviously the product just keeps it in focus. Now the one thing with this particular sort of shot is you'll probably notice that the depth of field isn't quite as great. So if we keep an eye on those plants, well, the sort of lights there, once it actually latches on, yes, they blur out a little bit, but I don't think it's blown out quite as much as the previous Sigma 30mm. But obviously this is a lot more practical in terms of being able to just see everything more in shot. As I say, I have that option now, so depending on which shot I want to make, I can use the various different lenses. The kit lens actually did really well. I was surprised by how well that actually focused. Same with the Sigma 30mm. The 16 for some reason seems to be really struggling in terms of latching on, which is, well, it did a little bit better there. So it's focused in. Let's take that away and then bring it back again. Yeah, that seems to be doing a bit better. So yeah, it is purely hit and miss, and at the moment I literally have all my settings cranked up to maximum. So sensitivity, focus, switching, all that's maxed out. People have tried all sorts of various settings. Essentially the only real way to do it is manual focus, where you just switch into manual mode and then you use basically your phone or whatever, your tablet, whatever you want to use, in order to just switch when you're actually showcasing that product, and that's the most reliable way. And if I just do that now, where I bring that there and I just touch onto it, on this particular lens it's a bit more difficult, because essentially you have such a bigger window, and that just seemed like it was doing something kind of weird there. But yeah, because we have such a bigger window area, if you like, the actual focus area itself is still being taken up by me. If I move this to that side now, it's actually this side, so that will focus in straight away. And when I move this away, it'll actually go to the background, so it may hunt a little. But then if I bring that back just there, as you can see, it grips on straight away. So I think the fact that obviously I'm sat behind it, it's trying to focus in on me. And what I have noticed is whenever you've got any type of faces in picture, especially if it can detect eyes, what it'll need you to do essentially is to cover those, basically cut off the eyes before it'll actually focus in. So in this particular scenario, as soon as my hand goes across the frame, it grabs focus, and then I can swivel this about and hopefully that's all still in focus. But yeah, it's all fun and games, isn't it? It's more options, and to me anyway, this looks a much more pleasing sort of view compared to the iPhone. And what it also does, it frees up my iPhone, so I'm not having to put that strain on it in terms of being the A camera, if you like. I can now use the iPhone as a B camera. I do also have a new tripod coming, so that'll free up the one that I'm using for this one at the moment. So then I'll be able to get an extra shot, and what I may be able to do is literally just use the Lumix as my A-roll and just my talking head, and then for all my zoomed in shots it would make a lot more sense to actually have something closer by that I can actually just move the product over and showcase it that way. I have the lighting, so lighting's not an issue. So yeah, anyway, hopefully you've enjoyed this video. If you have, I'd really appreciate if you give me a thumbs up. If you haven't already done so, please do subscribe to the channel, and also hit the bell icon, that way you don't miss out on any new videos coming. And other than that, thanks very much for watching.